Hey everybody, it's me, John Ward, and welcome to the third short reviews. And even though this one is being shown first, it is the third. I made two recordings, two videos with Jonathan Moody. The first one being Civil War. We thought that would be a good one because we're coming up on an election. And then we did a second one for Salem's Lot 2024. Um, because I went to go see Terrifier 3 today, I wanted to do this video and put it out first. So it's the first one shown, but it's the third one that I've done. Um, the other two, Civil War and Salem's Lot, they're going to be brought out within like the next week. And but I just really wanted to get to this one first because today is Friday and it is the opening day for Terrifier 3. And I'm a huge Terrifier fan. I got to see Terrifier at a like a sneak preview and loved it, and then saw Terrifier 2, loved it even more, and now today got to see Terrifier 3. And they're I'm going to try to stay, spoiler free on this, but I'll just say up front, I'm going to rank them right here. I would rank them as Terrifier 2, Terrifier 3, and then Terrifier 1. Terrifier 3 and 1 could possibly change depending on my mood. But as of right now, it would be 2, 3, 1. I really enjoyed Terrifier 3, but I do have problems with it. All the problems that people had with Terrifier 2, like, its length, how weird it is, especially near the end where Sienna gets in her warrior outfit and she's like put into the water and kind of reborn, and she comes back as this angel, and there's all this really weird stuff happening. All this stuff that people found divisive in part 2, I absolutely loved. I thought that it went way beyond the first film. For Terrifier 3, um, it's just over 2 hours. I have a feeling that the movie was probably 3 hours long, and it got cut down. Maybe because it was playing in theaters. They basically told the director Damien Leone to cut it, to make it 2 hours ish. And because there are a lot of things in this film where either we don't see it happen or it just cuts. And and this I'm kind of pausing as I want to stay away from spoilers, but it's especially near the end, there seems to be a lot of stuff that maybe we're missing. And in it, there's these kind of like dream sequences, or there's basically things that Serena is seeing, and like her mind is playing tricks on her. So because of these weird edits and possible scenes missing, I thought maybe from time to time that they were dream sequences, and they weren't. The ending seems to me to be kind of rushed because there are a lot of these weird edits where it looks like things that we didn't see we should have seen. There are people who die off screen that were like, oh, okay, that would have been nice to see. There are some things in this that that you rarely see in movies anymore, and it didn't bother me at all. In fact, I liked that they did this in the film because it's taking a risk on criticism. Children are killed in this movie, and a lot of people may not like that. I did not mind it because I felt that it was just adding more to art, that now he's just not killing adults and stuff, that he doesn't care. He's just wiping out kids too. uh I thought maybe the blood, that it could have been even worse, because part two really seemed to uh kind of raise the ante on blood. So I was almost thinking that maybe the blood would be even worse in this. There are some kind of like gadgets that Art uses, which are new, that he didn't use in the previous films. So I liked that. Um, the this is an well, actually, I want to bring this up first before I get into what I what I like is, or more of what I like. So I went in, I bought my ticket, and I saw that there was some posters, like 11 by 17 posters sitting on the table. And I'm like, oh, cool. These are like Terrifier 3 posters, or even just something new. No, they, for some reason, they had two huge stacks of Madam Web. What? This is on Blu-ray and DVD and stuff. You could stream this. Why? Somebody must have found a box in the back in like some storeroom of Madam Web posters, and put them out for people to take, because the stacks were like this thick. So I grabbed three. Why three? I don't know. I just took three. I just thought it was funny. I mean, it's, you would think that maybe it would be a Terrifier 3 poster, or maybe even a Smile 2, because that's coming out, or anything like that. But it's just Madam Web. Okay, I guess. I mean, I snagged them, so okay. It's actually one that I'll still probably watch sometime down the road, because it just, for hot chicks kicking ass is not a bad thing. But to get back to Terrifier 3, the what this film does that I really like is to show the aftermath. And I love aftermath movies. So I am a fan of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I like that better than his first Halloween movie, which to me was really just Halloween. Uh, um, Especially that second half, obviously. Halloween 2, it's a pure Rob Zombie film. And I love that the events that happened in the first movie completely fucked up these people's lives. And they are damaged and destroyed. And, Dr. Loomis has made money off of this by writing the book. And everybody is just screwed up. Only then for, Michael to come back and finish the job. So with Terrifier 3, that's what we're getting. We're getting the after effect of what happened in part 2. And there are characters from part 1, which we saw in part 2, continue to be in part 3. So I don't think that this really spoils anything. So it's Serena. She is, I'm sorry if I'm saying her name wrong. She is just messed up. She's trying to live her life, but she can't. She's in like an institution, and she's, trying to deal with what happened in part 2. Her brother is in college, and he's now just trying to have a normal, like, college life. And there's even like a frat party that he's going to be going to. His roommate's girlfriend is a podcaster, and she and her friend run like a true crime podcast, and they're trying to get him on to talk about the events of what happened in the second movie. But beyond that, he is just trying to get on with his life, go past this. And but you know, his sister Serena, she keeps you know, calling him and kind of reminding him of everything that happened. She gets picked up by her uncle from this like institution that she's in and taken back to the house, where so she's with her uncle, her aunt, and then her niece. And the niece really loves her and wants to hang out with her and do things with her. You know, kind of sounds like she kind of wants to be her as far as like a makeup artist goes, and like a costume designer, and making art and stuff. That there's definitely some that she really just admires, is what I'm trying to think of. Serena, or Serena, and then of course Art along the way is killing people. So as far as the story goes, I don't really exactly know 100% what this story is. It's almost like Damien Leone, who wrote the film and he directed it, said, okay, where can we take Art and where can we put him? And I'm just going to make up locations because I don't want to ruin locations for people. But so this is made up stuff. It's not in the film. So what if we took Art and put him into a grocery store? What could he do? What if we took Art and, put him into a zoo? What could he do? And so for the stuff with Art, it almost seems like who's ever there, he just murders them. There's really no, it's not like John Carpenter's Halloween, where the three girls are basically targeted for Michael because, PJ Soul's character yells at him in a car, or yells at the car as he's driving by because he's driving quickly. He stops, checks them out. At least that's my interpretation of it. And that he stops, looks at them, and then they become his focus, these three girls. If they never yelled at him in the car, he probably would have just driven by and never thought of it. But in this, there doesn't seem to be any, like, I have to go kill the people that survived from the second movie for this reason. The people that he does kill in some circumstances is because they just happen to be there, and that's fine. Art is living in a house. It's an old house. It's going to be demolished. And these guys are on a wrecking crew, and they come out to check out the house. Well, they're in the house that Art lives in, and so they get killed. So to me, that made sense. But there's a few other ones that didn't. It almost seems like to make Art just a random killer doesn't exactly didn't fully work for me. Art killing some kids, there is a killing at the beginning, and then there is something that takes place at a shopping mall. Did not bother me at all. And not that I want to see kids get killed, because I'm kind of against like the Second Amendment, and I obviously don't want school shootings and things to happen. But as far as a movie goes, and especially this being a horror movie, and it's kind of a supernatural, maybe almost alien type of movie, what Art does doesn't bother me at all. In fact, in the theater, I actually said, "Oh shit," at one point, because I was really surprised that they went that far. I didn't find the film to be boring. There is a lot of dialogue. There are some good like flashbacks to things that were discussed in the first movie, especially with like the mom and the two kids, things that deal with the dad, and now we kind of get to see these things that I liked. In some cases I wouldn't, because if we've already discussed it, why do we need to see it? But it didn't bother me in this, especially with the actor who plays the dad, who I won't say. I'll leave, you can look it up or be surprised when you go see the movie. There are cameos, and one of the cameos, I actually worked with the actor, Daniel Roebuck. I worked with on Tom Devlin's film, Las Vegas Frankenstein. And so got to meet him, and then I hung out with him at the premiere and stuff. Very nice guy. So it was cool seeing him up there. And there are some other cameos, but which I'm not going to mention. But the overall movie, I think part one being almost a one location movie, where it just kind of all takes place in that garage, that like building with the garage in it, I thought worked perfectly. In part two, I thought everything in that film worked. I was never bored. I saw it late at night, and I was worried about the length, and loved it. I loved every part of that. And I told that to, Damien Leone, the director, when I met him. I told that to Lauren Valvera, that I loved the length, and both of them brought up the things that people thought were divisive. I said, no, I loved all that stuff. I told Damien Leone that I really enjoyed his movie, Frankenstein versus the Mummy. He said, oh, if you loved all the divisive stuff in part two and you loved Frankenstein versus the Mummy, you're going to love part three. Even David Howard Thornton talked about how they took the best parts of the first movie and the second movie and basically put them into the third film. In some cases, that is true. There are a couple deaths that seem a little derivative. Maybe if it happened to a woman in one of the other movies, now it's happening to a guy in the third film. The performances are good. The effects are good, but I think they could have been worse. If you're releasing this unrated, then I probably would have even made them worse. I would have amped everything up to, if the first film is an 8, on the violence scale, and the second movie is a 10, for the third film, I probably would have made this like a 15. But the performances are good. The directing is good. The acting is good. I love the aftermath stuff. I thought that was really good. There's also more towards the end, there is a lot of Christian imagery in it. Like it's weird. In one point, basically, Serena takes her brother, and they end up in like a church. Like they're in an area where you would not think a church would be connected to it, but they end up in a church. And so there's all that religious imagery in there of this church. There's the crown of thorns that Christ had is in it. There's the crucifixion imagery. And I, not being religious, I am an atheist. I loved all of that, because I love movies that have religious imagery in them, especially horror movies. There's a film with Christopher Lambert called Resurrection by Russell Mulcahy, which is kind of like Seven, but with the guy who's killing people and putting body parts together to create the resurrection of Christ. I love that film. I watch it on Easter every year. So for me, that type of stuff didn't bother me. So the kids stuff and maybe the Christian imagery stuff maybe that is that might be a problem for people, but I think that it's pushing the boundaries of what you can do. Now, if you think that these things, the kids, the Christian imagery, is going to hurt the film, is going to stop merchandise from being made, stop a part 4 and 5, because Damien Leone has already said 4 and 5 are going to be made. I guess part 4, I just read, is already happening. Hopefully he's writing and directing it still. Hopefully everyone comes back, because if you've watched 1 and 2, you definitely know that art can't be killed that easily. So, and this, and it, like all slasher films, it ends on a cliffhanger. So I don't think anybody is going to stop selling merchandise. I don't think it's going to stop a part 4 or 5 being made. I don't think that any of this stuff is being done. If you're going to see Terrifier 3, you should know what to expect. And these are the things that they're pushing the boundaries on. And I appreciate that. It does not bother me at all. In fact, I liked it. I liked those boundaries being pushed. But like I said, some people may not like that. The film is incredibly gory, and I could see maybe some people who aren't used to that amount of gore maybe leaving the theater. But once again, if you've seen 1 and 2, you know how violent these are. And I actually wished Terrifier 3 was more violent. I wish that it was longer. I would have loved to have seen a 3-hour version of this, because in it, it got to a certain point where I'm like, okay, I didn't look at my phone to see what time it was, but I'm like, I know we got to be coming up on that 2 hours. This has got to be wrapping up soon, but it doesn't seem like we're at the point of it wrapping up. And then all of a sudden it just cuts to like that final act, and it's like, oh, there seems to be stuff missing. That would probably be my biggest complaint of this entire thing. Is I do think this was a much longer movie. I do think that a lot has been edited. I could be totally wrong, but the brother and sister talk about getting a particular item, and the next thing you know, the niece is talking to Serena. I'm sorry if I'm saying her name wrong. I'm sorry. And she goes, "Did you get it?" And then it's just like, "Yeah, I got it," type of thing. Actually, I think the brother says that to her, like, "Did you get it?" She's like, "Yeah." Well, we never see her getting the item. We never see her doing it. It's just, we need to get this item. Did you get it? I got it. So it's like this whole piece is missing that I think should have been in there. Because this isn't a TV movie where you end and then you fade out and go to a commercial break, and then you fade back in, and your actors or characters could be in a completely different location, and that's fine. All they got to do is go, oh yeah, we got here an hour ago. It's a movie. I think that you should show it and not say it. But the ending I did enjoy. It does get very religious, and basically taking the ending of part 2 and really kind of just blowing it up. So hopefully what happens in the house at the end, once again, I don't want to spoil stuff, is really looked at in part 4. Let's just say that there's kind of, you almost have a Hellboy type of ending going here. So I do recommend the movie to wrap this up, because it is called Short Reviews, and or Short Reviews. I still haven't completely worked out what my title for this is. So, but I do know it's going to be short review or short reviews. And so I would, out of 5, I'm going to give this a 3.5, where I give the first one, it's weird because I'm going to give the first one a 4 and the second one a 5, but I like them as 2, 3, 1. So, but I do recommend this. It falls somewhere between a 3.5 and a 4. So definitely check it out. See it in the theater, support horror movies. This way they make more. This is an unrated film that's playing in the theater, and that is incredibly rare. The sound was good. The audience seemed to get into it. I was in the theater. They hadn't turned on the lights yet because I did go see the first show. And a couple walked in, and the woman who I couldn't see because it was dark, all I hear is, "Are you excited about Terrifier 3?" And I didn't know she was talking to me. And I hear it again. "Are you excited about Terrifier 3?" And I go, "Oh, I'm sorry. Are you talking to me? I can't see you because it's dark in here." And she goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm very excited to see this. I'm a huge Terrifier fan." And we talked briefly, and then they went up to their seats. And then at the end of the movie, I saw them leaving and asked if they liked it. And they said that it was good. It was hit and miss. It had some good kills in it, but some of them kind of seem a little repetitive. But they did seem to like it. So maybe kind of in the same way that I did. So definitely check it out. It's worth watching. I'm going to be buying it. I know it when it comes out on Blu-ray, and I'm going to continue being a fan of the series. I'm going to continue supporting the filmmakers on this. I heard Damien Leone is going to be working with Sam Raimi, so that's a great thing. I don't know, man. Maybe he'll get to do an Evil Dead movie. That would be great. So thank you for watching this. And look out for the other ones, the video 1 and video 2, because like I said, this is video 3. And I'm going to be doing more of these reviews. I'm trying to keep them at around 20 minutes. It's only because this is Terrifier 3 that it is going on a little bit longer. But yeah, like 20, 22 minutes, somewhere in there, maybe even shorter if I can. But you'll see more of these coming in the future. So, all right, everybody, thanks. I appreciate it. Go check out Terrifier 3 and other independent horror films because they keep making them. So, if you go see them. So, all right. Bye, everybody.